A while back, I asked myself a simple question. How many times do you have to switch captains to beat Pikmin 3? This question originated from the fact that many of the puzzles in the game are centered around throwing your captains to access new locations. I knew going into it that I likely wouldn't be able to skip every puzzle, but I was sure going to try. And with that, let's get right into this likely impossible challenge. During the entire first day of Pikmin 3, you follow the events of each captain crashing to the planet. During this, you never control two captains at a time, and since any changes in the captain you control are separated by cutscenes, I'm not going to classify these as switching captains. This means we can do Charlie's Day 1 events, discover and grow the red Pikmin with Alph, and speak with Brittany to learn about her situation without switching captains once. For the first third of day 2, I only control Alph, meaning there's absolutely nothing to worry about and I can raise up red Pikmin and get the first fruit in peace. After I get the rock Pikmin, I immediately went and saved Brittany just in case I needed her. At this point, the game has a tutorial to explain how to use multiple captains. You're required to do the setup to get this lemon, but for some reason the game doesn't make you switch captains, so I guess I dodged that bullet effortlessly. If I dodged the first bullet, then I must have dodged right into a second one. This one was named the stupid bridge on the way to the armored Maudad. Trademark. To progress past this obstacle, there are 2 stacks of bridge pieces that would be obtained by throwing Brittany to the other side of the water and switching to her. My first plan to avoid this was to throw Pikmin to the other side, lock onto the fragments, and charge them there. This plan worked for the first set of fragments, but I was unable to target onto the second stack, which meant it was time for a more drastic approach. There's a glitch used in speedruns of Pikmin 3 where you can get out of bounds in the Twilight River by walking into a corner at a specific angle to clip out of bounds. I found about 6 different places where I could get halfway out of bounds, but only one place let me get out of bounds completely. My theory for why this works is because there is an invisible wall, meaning I clip behind that before I visually clip into the rock. Although I was able to get out of bounds, I was not able to get Alph to the other side no matter where Alph was when he respawned. I was able to get Brittany over to the other side, even when she was farther away from it than Alph was. So in conclusion, that glitch was useless and stupid, and I hate it. It's awful. The Skitterleaf. Secretive, quick, and strong. With the appearance of a simple leaf, it is not remotely threatening to the Pikmin, nor is it profitable, only giving 1 new Pikmin if harvested. The only way it will show itself is if it detects something directly beside it. It also has a strange weakness to water, where it becomes paralyzed and Stop it, just stop. You've completely lost your mind at this point. But why would I spend so much time trying to get over this wall? Well, I wanted to get the blue Pikmin so that I could throw them from the water at the bridge pieces. Clearly that was going to work and I didn't need the wing Pikmin to do that at all. After all of this, I was out of ideas, so I spent some time researching and slept on it, and then came back the next day. By the next time I recorded, I had no more ideas and gave in to pressing the dreaded minus button. Little did I know, after killing the armored Maudad, I would find another problem immediately. At the start of the distant Tundra, we learned that Alph should never be allowed to drive in snowy conditions again. Brittany gets thrown out of the SS Strength somehow, and the main objective here is to build a bridge from both sides of the map to reunite them. Doing this without switching captains was going to be extremely challenging. My first idea was to somehow get Brittany over to Alph's side of the map, or vice versa, so that I could get all Pikmin types with 1 captain. However, I was unable to get anything to work. The entire area is split in 2, excluding some paths that require walls in the water to be broken down. With that idea out, my next plan was to complete Brittany's bridge on the first day here and Alph's bridge on the second day here. This has potential to work because on day 1 you start by controlling Brittany so you can get the yellow Pikmin, but on day 2 onward you land on the planet as Alph like you would if it was any other day. This meant that if I could build each side in 1 day without the other captain's Pikmin, then it would work. So at the start of Brittany's day, I was able to get this first set of bridge fragments without any issues. I was then able to go to the other side of her side of the map. This gets confusing, bear with me. I was able to break down this wall, and this was where I discovered the greatest threat to this plan. Literally this one ledge. I wish I was making that up. The only way to scale this ledge is to break open this geyser with rock Pikmin, which Brittany, my favorite character. The only way to scale this ledge is to break open this geyser with rock Pikmin, which Brittany can't have without switching to Alph and back. However, this wasn't all bad. Once I got to play as Alph on day 2, I was able to complete his bridge in one day. Day 3 involved sending Alph to throw Brittany some Pikmin, then switching to her once and finishing her bridge, marking the end of the issues in this area. Was there a way to skip the wall? I mean, probably, but I couldn't think of it. Regardless, I was still able to get the distant Tundra down to one captain switch, which I think is still pretty impressive. Regardless, I saved Charlie from the behemoth Phosbat, and it was then time for the Tropical Wilds. What should have been the easiest area yet. Alright, so the only obstacle here standing between me and the boss of this area is a single paper bag. And would you look at that, I can just throw my Pikmin up to it, and what do you mean there's an invisible wall blocking the way? Well, I guess there goes my only plan to do this area quickly. My next idea was to, as always, clip out of bounds. Nothing too complicated to explain, except I couldn't anywhere. Plan C was to look up a speedrun, and to my amazement, they use a glitch that could help me shave a captain switch. I tried using the glitch, and for some reason it wasn't working, so I rewatched the clip and was sad to hear this.
Cheater. So Charlie's arm reaches really far behind him. And there she goes.
You need to switch to Charlie to do the glitch. Why? Okay, no, it's fine, I'm fine. I'll just sleep on this. And I'll come back to it later. Oh my god, I'm a genius. Just throw one captain the intended way and throw Pikmin to the other side, then whistle them to the bag. The first issue I ran into was reaching the area that you throw the captains across from. Usually I would throw a captain over and switch to them, but that's banned now. The only alternative is to build this bridge where all the pieces are on the other side. The solution was clear. Throw all of my Pikmin into the water to whistle them across so I can build the bridge from the other side. As crazy as this sounds, I actually got the bridge all built in one day and only lost a few Pikmin to the water. With that out of the way, I built the second bridge as a shortcut, and I was able to execute my plan. This has to work. Nothing can stop me. There's another invisible wall, isn't there? There is. Yeah, I'm not even surprised at this point. Let's try this speedrunning glitch and see what I can figure out. The glitch was pretty easy to get, but I realized the invisible wall was still there. So I rewatched the clip for the third time and saw this.
Okay, and then we're up here, and we want to walk over here to unload an invisible wall because the game doesn't want you to be here already. And call through.
Okay, so I need to backtrack to hit a trigger to remove the invisible wall. At this point, I had it. The ultimate plan. Step 1, switch to Charlie using one input and perform the out of bounds glitch. Instead of switching to the captain, step 2 was to whistle the captain over to the trigger, breaking the invisible wall. The final step was to throw yellow Pikmin up at the bag, pushing it down. The plan was unstoppable. I had thought of everything. Or so I thought. In actuality, the devs were one step ahead of me. For the trigger to activate, the captain who crossed it would have to be active. I was out of ideas. It was over. I had come up with enough plans to fill an expanding brain meme template. And more. I had spent so much time and come so far, but I made no progress. My best method included 2 captain switches, which didn't even improve upon the normal method to beat the area. This was the worst defeat yet, and I hoped things would turn around soon. This run went from 0 to 60 within the time it took to travel to this area. The Twilight River has 2 main objectives that are completely separate from each other. Objective 1 is to build this bridge to unlock winged Pikmin. The game doesn't require you to throw and switch to a captain once during this, so it was an absolute breeze. The second objective, only slightly more difficult than the first, is to build a second bridge to gain access to the boss of the area. 2 of the 3 sets of fragments can be obtained the intended way without switching captains. However, the third set is on a high ledge that you're supposed to throw a captain to get to. The thing is, winged Pikmin are broken, and I gotta say, it feels so good to finally have these guys. With all that out of the way, it was time to fight the Scornet Maestro. I haven't been mentioning bosses up until now since I fought them the same way as I would have with multiple captains. This time it's a little bit different though. My usual strategy abuses the fact that the Scornet Maestro always attacks your active captain. If you switch to a captain with no Pikmin and put them on the opposite side of the arena, the boss attacks the wrong area and you can come in with your other captain for an easy fight. I haven't fought him without doing this since the first time I played the game. The fight was long and tedious, but I got it done either way. With that, Olimar, was saved and we could continue with our journey. Now that Louis has landed us in the Garden of Hope again with no food, the main goal is to find him once again. He's stuck behind this blue bridge that's usually built backwards since the fragments are on the other side. The standard way to do this is to build up this upside down pot and throw captains over to the other side. So naturally, the first step in this run is to build the blue bridge first. There's 2 sets of fragments that I need to get, one in a crystal and the other in a hole to be dug up. Although I was able to lock onto the hole and my wings could have easily reached it, of course there was an invisible wall in the way that I had to find out how to disable. Again! Thankfully, this was much easier than the one in the tropical wilds, and all I had to do was pluck the first blue Pikmin and I could be on my way. At this point, a plan had formed. I restarted the day, and the first thing I would do is pick the blue Pikmin, then I would send my wings to start building the first half of the bridge. After that, I could throw rock Pikmin onto the bridge and charge them at the last set of fragments. Now, given how this playthrough had gone, I expected something to get in my way here, but as it turns out, there was nothing. For the first time this playthrough, one of my overly complicated plans actually worked and let me skip every captain switch in the area. From there, the boss was extremely simple, and I even got all of this done in one day. Your move, Pikmin 3 devs. With everything else out of the way, it was time to save the real Olimar in the Formidable Oak. I've beaten this place so many times I can usually finish it in 2 days, and I know many strategies to beat it. One thing that I normally do that I can't in this run is have Brittany continue to walk in circles, distracting the mysterious life form, while Alph and Charlie handle everything else. To do this, I have to continually switch back and forth, so I have to try to beat this first area with Brittany and Olimar following me. Very early on, I actually got trapped between the mysterious life form and the outside of the map. This meant that I had to sacrifice Olimar and kill the no longer invincible boss before it escaped. Thankfully, I pulled this off and I was able to grab the bomb rocks to do a little skip. The intended way to beat this first area is to build this bridge, but the game gives you bomb rocks to make a shortcut at the beginning of the area. Well, if you position yourself correctly, you can break the wall from the wrong side and skip building the bridge altogether. As I said, I know this place well. It was now time for the second half of the final area. My usual plan is to leave Brittany and Olimar in the water in the center of the room. I was still able to do that by throwing Brittany, and the mysterious life form couldn't reach them. The next goal is to build this bridge, and I wasn't able to do this before the day was over. However, on the next day, all my progress remained, and I was able to get right back where I was. Wait, why am I playing as Brittany? Game! This is a massive issue, because now Olimar is following my active captain all day, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's not the worst thing ever, I guess, just one more thing to worry about. Either way, I got the bridge from the previous day done, and light up some of the area. Only to find out I had to throw a captain so I could reach this light bulb. In a desperate panic, I tried the only way I could think of to avoid it, but I couldn't lock onto the wire, so I had no other plans. I opted to just take the L and switch captains, and I never had any other ideas. With that all out of the way, it was a straight shot back to base and Pikmin, hello? What are you doing? Okay, it's fine, catastrophe avoided. Now I can just fight the boss. It took 2 days of work and 100 Pikmin lost, but the Plasm Wraith was dead. And with that, I beat Pikmin 3 by switching captains only 5 times. Now, the night before I was set to record the Formidable Oak, this happened.
Wait a minute, what if I just killed the captains instead of switching to them? Would that be cheating? I could do my normal out-of-bounds stuff in the Garden of Hope, and instead of switching to Brittany, just kill Alph, right? I just don't know if that would be cheating. I mean, I'm not pressing the minus button. The game is forcing me to switch captains. What if?
Now, I'm sure I can't be the only one who thought of this. Let me explain the plan in more detail and use the example of the Garden of Hope. Goal: build this bridge by reaching the last set of fragments. Step 1, throw Pikmin to the other side. Step 2, glitch out of bounds and send Brittany to the other side. Step 3, keep going out of bounds until Alph dies. The game then forces a switch to Brittany and you can grab the last set of fragments. This plan can also be applied to the other 4 times I pressed minus, meaning Pikmin 3 can be beaten without pressing minus once. The defense for this not counting as a captain switch is the fact that so many other cutscenes forced me to switch captains. Take the cutscene after saving Charlie. You start the cutscene as Alph and come back as Charlie. Or after you enter the Formidable Oak for the second time. Start the cutscene as Alph, end as Brittany. I did not count any of these as switches, and the death works the same way. The reason I think it's cheating and still counts as switching captains is because it is an avoidable cutscene, whereas the others I mentioned are not. Due to this reason, I will be sticking with my original run. Now it's back to the question I started with. Can you beat Pikmin 3 without switching captains? If your definition of switching captains is pressing the minus button, then yes, you can. If your definition of switching captains is intentionally forcing a change in the active captain, then it still requires 5 captain switches, unless people in the comments are smarter than me and can come up with better ideas, which you probably can. Speaking of which, if you have any ideas for how to skip more of the captain switches, let me know down there. I'll be sure to check them out. Regardless, if you all enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you all in the next video.